Hey, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Metal Massacre Fab Shop. My name is Matt, and on today's episode we are going to be going over some West Coast style mirrors for my truck. First thing we're going to be doing in this mirror install is having to remove these old brackets. So let's get over to the toolbox real quick, get what we need. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is removing these two upper mounts. These old acorn nuts are at 7/16, so let's see if they'll come loose, which this one broke free. Alright, so those two came loose. Let's see if we can't get these back too. Grab an extension real quick. So it seems like they're all going to come out, so that's a big win, because most of the time, you guys know, these old rusty bolts and nuts and all that good stuff sometimes do not cooperate. And apparently these bolts are kind of rare, which I may have just lost one. Alright, so these appear to be a 7/16 as well. I'm just going to go through here and knock all these loose. Eventually, I plan on coming back in here and filling in the holes that we don't use in our mirror install, same way up here, and then I'll kind of just fake patina that in, or whatever you want to call it. Alright, first thing on our new mirrors here, or I guess new to us mirrors, I'm going to go ahead and pop these two mounting brackets off, because the way they're configured for our cab, it's kind of not going to be what we need them to be, so we'll probably be using kind of a combination of what came off of the truck and just kind of have to play with it a little bit, because I don't want to have to drill holes on this thing if I don't have to. Now that I've got that off, see here, it's fitting up pretty well on here, which is exactly what we wanted. So now I'm going to try to kind of utilize the brackets that we took off of the truck and see if we can't get them configured to where this is going to work out, because this is right in line where we're going to want these things. Alright, first thing I'm going to be doing is getting our old brackets in here that somebody so kindly torch cut off of our truck cab here. So I'm going to just put the nut in the vise here and tighten it down, and then hopefully get this acorn nut off of here. And I am really happy and also very surprised all these nuts are coming off as easy as they are. Alright, just got one more to go, and then we can start reinstalling everything, hopefully. Looks like we got a little slag on this one, so this one might end up not working out. Wow. Something has got to happen. This is going way too easy for my luck. So apparently I ran out of memory, but basically in the last shot what I was showing you was I just beat this over right here with the hammer just to flatten it out and make it more of a 90-degree angle, because that's what we're going to be needing for our bracket up here. So let's get our mirror over here and see if it'll work out. Alright, so our mirror is going to go just right, so like so here. I've got another bracket back here, and all that's going to do is go right here. But you can see, well, you probably can't see this, but the bolt pattern on this is just a little bit wider, but I've already test fit this one right here, and it looks like it's going to match up pretty dang good. I'm going to have to do a little bit of manipulating, just like I did on this top one, to get the angle right, so I'll probably go ahead and do that right now. Alright, let me take this over to the truck real quick and see if I can test fit it. It's looking pretty dang close right now. I'm going to try to get it just a little bit farther. thing about a patina truck, you don't have to worry too much about scratching it. So hopefully you can see I went ahead and got our top bolt in here. It fit pretty dang good. I'm happy with the way all this is lining up. I'm going to go ahead and get our bottom one in. We can tighten everything up, and then all we got to do then is adjust our mirror where we're going to want it. Also, I do a note, these mirrors came with it's kind of a star washer is what I call them, but that helps with like vibration. On an application like this, in my opinion, it'd be a pretty good thing to have, because you are going to be getting a lot of wind and vibration like that whenever you're going down the road. So just kind of keep that in mind. I would recommend you probably put those back in. But let's tighten all that in. We can get inside the truck and we can get this one adjusted. I'm going to go ahead and hit our actual mounting bolts real quick just before I forget them. That way they're good and tight as well. I'm not going to go overly crazy on them because they are a smaller nut and bolt. So if you can tell, hopefully on the camera, the mirror is kind of laid back like this. I'm going to try to just kind of straighten it up real quick, and by hopefully loosening this bolt here, I can move that bottom side around, and then that'll in turn straighten that thing up hopefully. What do you guys think about that? That looked pretty straight? I think so. Tighten this back down, then we can get back to adjusting our mirrors. So like I was saying, to adjust your mirrors, I'm not going to go overly tight on these, but obviously I want them a little tighter than this because I don't want the wind to be whipping these things all kinds of crazy places and stuff like that when a truck passes. So find my ratchet I just dropped, and I'll sit here and adjust it. Looks like a pretty good angle there, so I'm just going to put a little bit of tightness on this. Alrighty, so that's not too tight to where if I do want to manipulate it with my hands later on, or somebody else drives the truck, they can do so. So I'm going to hop over to the other side real quick, knock that out. I won't bore you guys, but here in just a second, we'll have a finished product and you can check it out. Alright, so you remember how I said the other one is going pretty smooth and something was probably going to mess up? Well, it has, but it's not the end of the world. I'm going to get you in here and kind of show you what's going on here real quick. So our current dilemma right now is, as you can see, this is completely kind of ripped out and got a hole in it. So we're not going to be able to do the same kind of self-tapper threader deals in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sneak in here, get our door panel off, which luckily every single screw did pop on this thing. I even got the door handle and the old window crank and all that good stuff up and off. This is what I'm going to do, pop this off. I'm going to just kind of hammer dolly that back flat, that little kind of rip, I guess you could say. Then we're going to be putting some bolts through the side, and then we're going to nut and washer on the inside. I've got a, I believe, for 3 Phillips bit, which is what I do recommend you using on these because that's basically what you need. Screwdrivers are about like a socket. I firmly believe in using the right one because that's primarily the reason you're probably going to strip one out. So let's get the rest of these out real quick with the old Milwaukee since they're already broke loose. Alrighty, so I'll be the first to say whenever I screw up, and it wasn't really even that big of a screw up, but it was more of a misunderstanding of where the bracket was going. So let me get you in here and show you what I ended up doing. So I was thinking that this upper bracket was where our mirror was going to land, and as you can see, this is actually where our mirror ended up landing. I just took one of the factory brackets here and kind of bent her over here. Did the same thing in the vise. I guess I could have filmed it this time, but I did not. But just take that thing in a vise, bend it over to where you get your angle where you're going to be right. And then just the same thing on this one, just bent it at a 90. Assembled everything. This castle nut is the only nut in this whole entire assembly that I could not get out. So I feel pretty good about that, but let me get you to the front of this truck and we'll check out what we got going on. So as you can see, we've got some mirrors on the old truck, which is pretty sweet. This one, it looks like somebody might have maybe tried to paint around on it a little bit, because you can see this one's like actually real patina, and this one kind of looks like somebody tried spraying it with some white. So I may actually hit that with some steel wool and try to deaden that white down a little bit, so to kind of match that kind of creamy rust color over here and not stick out like a sore thumb. But I think it looks pretty dang sweet. I'm going to be pretty excited to have some mirrors on this thing. That's going to wrap it up. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully this gives you an idea, if you find some old West Coast Juniors like I've got on my truck, that you can do it yourself. I mean, if you don't have pre-existing holes like I did, you could easily drill them yourself and then just find the bolting. You can go to hardware stores and everything like that and get those acorn nuts. And then on your bolt that goes through the door on the top, you're going to want to grind that down. So what you're going to want to do is come in here and grind these down. It's not really that complicated. People act like it's kind of hard to find these bolts and stuff, so I wouldn't stress it. I mean, just get your bolt, take it to a belt sander, put the bolt in a vise, grind it down with a grinder. Don't get too carried away. I mean, you can make this stuff work on just about any old truck, but I dig these West Coast style mirrors. I think they look great. So as I said already, thanks for sticking in here. Hopefully it gives you some ideas. See you guys on the next one. If you don't care, drop a like down below. And if you're not already, maybe hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. See y'all.